What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Let's do the time slip again.
It's just a jump to the left.
What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Christian coming at you. We just watched Loki episode 2. We're going to dive into everything from that banger of an episode. A lot to unpack from it. And then we're going to get into some big ting changes over at Marvel Studios that are for the better and should have been happening from the jump. We'll get into all that. Plus, all that good, sweet goodness from the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes. Everybody's favorite segment. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and on TikTok at StreamerSZN Pod. Follow Christian at @thewiz_PHI on the tweet machine. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you decide to consume your podcast from in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow, helps more people find StreamerSZN and Underground Sports Philadelphia as a whole. And be sure to subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every single week and every show on our network, live streams, clips, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. We're at 563 subscribers as of this recording. Trying to get to 600 by the end of the month. Let's make that happen. It's been a long time coming. Let's get DJ home from Alaska. All that good stuff. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And, make sure you get your merch. phiapparel.co is the website. If you're a Phillies fan, we've got the Attaboy shirts on sale right now. Go get those things. They are fire. Shout out to Tyler for putting those out ASAP. Mine's on the way. It already shipped, and I ordered it yesterday. So go get those things. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all merch orders so you can stand out in the crowd, whether you're going to the movie theater in your StreamerSZN hoodies and shirts. Rep the brand. It's the most effective and direct way to support us and everything we're doing. Tag us, tweet at us with your merch on. When you get your merch, we want to see where you're rocking it from. phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your order. Christian, we got another episode of Loki, Season 2, Episode 2. Quite the episode. It was a long one that also felt like it left us with so much still wanting from it in a good way. Your overall thoughts before we dive into the breakdown of the Loki episode 2.
Before the breakdown, what I'll say is it's an episode that gave us a lot more questions than answers, but in a good way, in terms of we actually we have an idea of where the next episode's going, but past that, it's like we got no clue, Chief. We got no clue.
Which is also super fun because you don't really know what to expect from the character that is Loki. So to have that kind of be where we're at this stage of the show, and next week will be the midway point, which is unfortunate because this show feels like it could just continue to go on and on forever. And we talked about that in season 1 as well. But there was a lot added to plot development and like storyline movement in this episode, and we got a lot of Sylvie in this episode, which was nice after only getting like a 2-second cameo and then a post-credit scene last week. Very, very fun. But like you said, like a lot to unpack. Even though we know where it's going, there's still a lot to kind of like sift through from this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot for us to go through in this breakdown.
I mean, overall, I was pretty pleased with this episode too. I think, I watched a lot of people say you're not going to get the same things you got from episode 1 and episode 2, and I think that was pretty on point, but in a good way. It wasn't like a bad drop off from episode 1 to episode 2 in my book. There was a lot that worked well with these 2 episodes to kind of play off of each other and build up to where we are eventually going. Obviously, we haven't seen the one scene from Quantumania's post-credit scene just yet, but that feels like that's where we're building to, obviously.
That feels like it'll be in next week's episode.
Yeah, 100%.
Spoiler.
So let's get into it. Christian, drop that sweet Loki spoiler warning for the people.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is your Loki spoiler warning. If you haven't watched this week's episode already, which, well, let's be honest, you should have, please pause this podcast. Go talk to your local Loki. Then of course, watch this episode. Watch that episode for this week. And then, shucks. Come back here and listen to the rest of this podcast, Kyle, right? Makes no sense. Wow. This is your friendly neighborhood spoiler warning. Wow.
So episode 2 of Loki season 2, titled Breaking Brad. I won.
Just great naming conventions in this show right now.
Yes. So let's get into it here. Loki and Mobius travel to 1977 London, England, everybody. To find Hunter X5, who is on the hunt for Sylvie, but he went AWOL. They find X5 abandoning his mission and living the life of his Sacred Timeline self, a movie actor named Brad Wolfe. This whole sequence scene was just absolute gold. We were cracking up the entire time as we were watching it. Just pure genius.
Very good filmmaking.
Seeing them, X5 tries to escape, but Loki, Mobius, and Hunter B-15 catch him and detain him at the TVA authority office, and they bring OB, his modified tempad, but he's too occupied with stabilizing the temporal loom. Good to see Ki-Hu Kwan back. Like we said last week. You don't just bring him in for one episode. He's going to be a mainstay. Also, in this whole sequence, too, the use of shadows was very, very cool.
Very nice.
When Loki and Mobius were trying to figure out what was the deal with X5's tempad, Casey informs them that he accessed Ravonna Renslayer's tempad history and found out that she is getting help from the one and only Miss Minutes, who we still have not seen since the finale of Season 1. She has been offline and helping Renslayer, which obviously we knew they were somewhat connected during the events of Season 1, but now we know Miss Minutes and Ravonna Renslayer are in cahoots, and Loki also tells them that he was in the past. He found out that Renslayer was a close partner of He Who Remains, which obviously plays into the comics, with Kang and Ravonna being lovers. And while the search for Renslayer was still going, Casey notices X5's tempad and concludes that he did not block the tracking, so Loki and Mobius and B-15 go to interrogate X5. X5 refuses to tell them anything while getting under the skin of both Loki and Mobius, and he drops a mom reference, your mom, to Loki.
Your mama.
And where's Wilmer Valderrama when you need him? This is your mama. You could tell it got to Loki. He kept his composure, but then Mobius said, what if 5 fingers say to the face? Slap. And smack the ever-living shit out of X5. And he has no intention to see what his life was before the TVA, that is Mobius, and eventually using Gizmo and some of his trickery, Loki pressures X5 into admitting that he found Sylvie and that she made herself a new life on a branching timeline. And I don't know about anybody else watching that scene where X5 is in that little tempad enclosure. My claustrophobia was true to roof. I was like, oh, get him out, get him out. Meanwhile, OB is working on stabilizing the temporal loom, but finds out that he has no access to the blast doors, so a temporal meltdown is imminent. He tells B-15 and Casey that only the creator of the system can lift the containment with a live scan of their temporal aura, and that person is he who remains. However, now that he's dead, do you remember the iconic? This is very Philadelphia niche. Like when WIP would do their top and bottom of the hour updates, and Sue Schilling led off one of them was like, "Bad news for Barbaro, he's dead." Yeah. Bad news for the TVA, he who remains, he's dead.
He dead.
Their only option is to somehow get Miss Minutes to override the system lock, and she's obviously offline, so they got to find a way. X5 reluctantly leads Loki and Mobius to a timeline where Sylvie worked at a McDonald's in Broxton, Oklahoma, which there is connections. I know we were talking about that last week, trying to figure out Broxton, Oklahoma. It's from a line in the comics. Very fun little Easter egg there to include. And Loki tells Sylvie that he witnessed the disaster of the TVA in the future and saw Sylvie there, asking her to explain what he saw. Sylvie, however, says that she does not know anything and does not want to have anything to do with the TVA. Loki tries to explain that the TVA is their only defense against He Who Remains variants, but Sylvie refuses to listen. Mobius notices that X5 acts suspiciously nervous and forces him to admit that we're all in danger. Sylvie enchants X5 and finds out that Dox and her loyalists are planning to prune all branching timelines, and as Dox's plans were put in motion, Loki and Sylvie attack the loyalists, while Casey and OB try to disarm the reset charges. However, as the loyalists are detained by the TVA, Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie go to the TVA office, where they realize that Dox succeeded and pruned all branching timelines. As they are horrified by the countless casualties that Dox caused, Sylvie tells Loki that the TVA is the problem, returning to her timeline. And then we see her at a McDonald's talking to the McDonald's employee we saw in the post-credits scene. And then it cuts to Sylvie having something TVA in her hand. We couldn't really tell what it was, but it's definitely something of importance. And obviously this will not be the last of Sylvie that we see, but quite the episode. Christian, your thoughts?
My thoughts? Well, my thoughts on this overall is... First, let's be clear, it wasn't a perfect episode. I think we can both agree on that. It was not a perfect episode, but it brings Sylvie back into the fold. It moves the plot forward, and it brings up interesting questions of, okay, in terms of the broader scale things, like we were going to do this broader multiversal thing, and now we've just had a bajillion timelines pruned. So what's going on there? In terms of this broader multiversal storytelling, we have the question of, okay, so next episode's probably going to Victor Timely and Ramona. Where are we headed after that? How is the series ending? And so it's compared to so many MCU shows. And I've said this once and I'll say it again. What Loki does the best is we have no clue what's going to happen. We have no clue what's going to happen, and that's what makes this show so good.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the aspects that they incorporated in this episode, and helping to move the plot along was a big aspect of this one. You get so many players on the chessboard involved too, from X5 seeming like he was an important cog in the wheel in this early going. You finally get full-blown Sylvie in season 2. Doc seems like a lower level villain here on the playing board. Obviously, Kang is the one, but Doc's being an internal villain to the TVA is an interesting twist. We get more OB, which is very fun, obviously, and it's all setting up to go back on these journeys that we saw in season 1 with Loki, going to different points in time that were key in actual history, and we're gonna obviously get that at least once with going to the Chicago World's Fair and Victor Timely and seeing a Kang variant and trying to find Ravonna, and we'll get giant ghost Miss Minutes. Still haven't seen that. Still a lot from the trailer and trailers that we haven't seen, which is also kind of interesting because I think, at least with a lot of the stuff from Star Wars recently, just from a DisneyPlus greater aspect, they've gotten a lot of the trailer stuff out of the way early on and then leaving a lot open to stuff you haven't seen.
Which is good.
Which is good. So, there's still a lot from the trailers that we haven't seen, but I think that's also build up from that post-credit scene in Quantumania that we have already seen. That is just a scene from this season of Loki. I really enjoyed this episode. Like you said, it wasn't perfect, but it was enjoyable. It was fun, and just the very much on brand for what Loki is as a show.
Yeah, like there's this is an episode where we don't have much to talk about because realistically it was just Loki. They basically go to find X5. X5 leads them to Sylvie. They discover rebellion. They can't fully quell it before it does damage, and we're left here.
100%. And before we give our grade for the episode, obviously Christian and I are giant Philly sports fans. Christian, our Phillies are moving on to the NLCS, and
Yeehaw.
Game 2 is on Tuesday, which your boy will be in the building for. There are 3 events on Tuesday, October 17th in Philly at the sports complex.
Phillies?
Starting off, Flyers Canucks home opener, 7 p.m. start time at the Wells Fargo Center.
Splendid.
Then we have a Mexico-Germany friendly at 8 p.m. at the Link. And then we have Phillies Diamondbacks. Game 2 NLCS 8:07 p.m. start time at Citizens Bank Park.
See, I was trying to think of I was trying to think of what was going on at the Link, and I just totally forgot about the forgot about the friendly, and now it's just oh no, oh man,
Xfinity Live might burn to the ground.
maybe it just might.
Oh man. Yeah, so I mean, very fun episode. I'm intrigued to see where this episode takes us, all pun intended here, in the timeline to next week's episode. But what is your score for Loki, season 2, episode 2?
7. Like it was nowhere near as good as the first one, but it wasn't bad, and I think it does just enough for me to not be like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's solid. It gets the job done. I'm giving it like a 7.5. There's a lot to hold on to from this episode that I think we'll just keep in our back pockets moving forward throughout the rest of the season. So, 7 plus 7.5, 7.25, rounded up. That's 7.3 for Loki. Season 2, episode 2, Breaking Brad. Gets a little bump in the episode 2 for me, just based on the title. Great title playing there. Moving on, but before we do, got to give a quick shout out to our pals over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game, especially their blue light plus technology that I wear all the time when I'm editing videos, when I'm watching my favorite shows and movies. And they've got prescription lenses too. For those of you that need prescription lenses, they've got those available. They've got the sunglasses, obviously, but the blue light plus glasses are what come in clutch, especially for this podcast in particular, when we are staring at screens expeditiously. You guys can go download the new Tomahawk Shades app in the App Store, Google Play, and just for downloading the app, you can claim a free pair of sunglasses. Who doesn't like free? And when you fill up your cart at TomahawkShades.com or in the Tomahawk Shades app, use code USP for 25% off your order at TomahawkShades.com. Plus, they have a fantastic insurance policy that if you lose, you're stolen, broken, you can file at any time, and they'll send you a new pair. It's the best. They are the best in the game. They've been repping and rocking with us for years now. So go to TomahawkShades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app. Use code USP for 25% off your order. Christian, we were talking about this in the group chat.
Yeah.
You, me, and Dylan. And
rest in peace, Dylan.
Rip his bank account. He got a new car. Shout out to the boy. Congrats on the accomplishment.
True adulting.
True adulting right there. Marvel's going through some changes. Shout out to Big Mouth.
Changes.
Seeing the way Marvel was operating their television shows,
what
they are shifting to, and everything we've heard in between about how their shows operated makes so much sense now when you look back on how all of these shows transpired.
Yep. So why don't you just break down the mess, Kyle? Shall you?
Everything that has occurred with Marvel. Marvel Studios, this comes from the Hollywood Reporter, plans to make changes in how it makes TV following internal criticism. Shows will now have proper showrunners that write pilots and show bibles, and a focus on multi-season serialized TV rather than limited series will occur. To put it lightly, they were basically using the premise of making a movie and spreading it insanely thin throughout these cookie-cutter 6-episode and sometimes 9 and some, episode shows that you could clearly tell something was not right across so many of these properties. And it felt rushed. It felt like they weren't able to truly tell a story because they were trying to fit in so many things into this cookie-cutter template that they did to themselves. The Miss Marvel directors even talked about this in interviews that they gave. They said that they fit in the entire plot line of Kamala Khan going to Pakistan because they didn't know and were not guaranteed a season 2 of the show, so they had to fit in different storylines to help tell the story of her character in a 6-episode arc. That's
not
bad.
Great.
That's
not
bad.
Great, bub.
And like you can look back on all of these shows and tell where things started to go bad in almost all of them. And I think there's 3 shows that stand above all. One of them actually got a season 2, which is Loki, obviously, and Loki's in that S tier. WandaVision is in that S tier and got a follow-up with a movie at least. And then
kind of got a follow-up.
Sure. And then Moon Knight is also regarded in that high tier because of how the storytelling was unfolded and told, and Oscar Isaac had a big part in that, obviously. Every other show that has come out on Disney Plus in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, though, has had its issues across the board, from Falcon and the Winter Soldier having to get absolutely redone because of the plot line when the show came out. We obviously broke down Secret Invasion, and we saw everything that went wrong with that. Miss Marvel obviously felt rushed, and things were not, fully in place for that show. She-Hulk had its issues across the board, both on screen and off screen. Trying to think of Hawkeye. You could obviously tell there were things in there that got muddy. Like, there's so much in these live action MCU shows that, because Marvel just put themselves in this cookie cutter of, we need to fit it in 6 episodes, limited series. It doesn't always have to be a limited series. Give yourself the chance to tell a story and not feel like you're fitting a movie into 6 episodes of a show.
Give yourself the best chance to be successful. It's not that hard. And they fundamentally were making it harder on themselves every chance they got, basically.
And, more from the Hollywood Reporter when we bring up Secret Invasion, because it was a show we all had high hopes for, and it fell flat. And it fell flat to wildly everybody in a lot of aspects. Secret Invasion had Kyle Bradstreet working on the scripts for a year until he was fired. And during production, it was weeks of people erupting at each other and vying for supremacy. A good portion of the team on the series was then replaced. You can tell.
Which I would just like to say this. For people who don't know who Kyle Bradstreet is, he did writing on stuff such as Mr. Robot, on stuff such as Berlin Station, and it's just like, for anyone who remembers Mr. Robot, that's a good choice. But then you just kind of like take him and his writing off of it, and then you immediately say like, okay, yeah, this is why it went downhill.
Mm-hmm. Just like you said, they just made every aspect of creating TV a zillion times harder than what it had to be. And the fact that they weren't pitching these shows with pilots, the fact that they were just like, let's create a movie and then scrap everything and try to, do reshoots for things that weren't working. And now we see Daredevil Born Again is getting completely redone.
Not great, bub. Not great.
I mean, it's truly like, what were we doing the past 2.5 years of creating these shows? And it just shows you like the mess that phase 4 of the MCU truly was, because you incorporated shows for the first time, and a lot of them missed the mark and made things that much more difficult to navigate.
Yeah, there's really not much else to say, because this is just a fundamental, like, Disney and Marvel tried to do TV unlike TV's ever been done before, and spoiler alert, it failed. Do you know why? Because TV people understand TV, not movie executives.
Right. And that's why you see shows like WandaVision, like Loki having success, because you've had people who worked in TV being big parts of them, a la Michael Waldron. Um, and that's why they're successful. They know the landscape of working on a television show, and it doesn't have to be a giant movie production. I think most people would say they would take out a lot of just the bells and whistles of some of these shows that we've gotten, to whatever degree they're at, to just have a solid plot line and something that actually moves the needle in terms of just enjoyment and entertainment, rather than having these giant budget types of shows and not knowing where the budget's going to, and seeing the pure SpongeBob brain chaos when they threw out his name that has been the MCU on DisneyPlus.
Yep. I don't think we have much else to talk about because we've pretty much covered this absolute MCU chaos. I hope they've learned their lesson and that, if we're being honest, in 2 years' time when we get a functional Disney TV, because if they redo all this stuff, spoiler, there's still an Actors Guild strike going on, so they can't do any of that. Sure, they can rewrite it, but they have to film it and everything, and they have to do VFX. So yeah, this is gonna be a while until MCU TV is fixed. Yeah.
Which we'll get into it as well, but did you see the message that SAG-AFTRA had outside the Disney studios?
The AI horrible looking things, yeah.
Well, not even that. Somebody put a Mickey Mouse hand with the middle finger up.
Whee!
Oh, we love it. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on everything that has transpired with Marvel over the last 2.5 years, and your thoughts on the changes that are coming in the comment section. But Christian, let's get to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Guys, go to kenwoodbeer.com. They are now in New Jersey. You can get Kenwood Beer at your local liquor store. Use the Kenny Finder at kenwoodbeer.com to see who's got it on tap, who's got it available at their establishments in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, and Maryland areas. It's 4.1% ABV, just 8 grams of carbs, 120 calories. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Like we mentioned, SAG-AFTRA still on strike. And the negotiations have reportedly hit a snag. According to the LA Times, studios don't think it's reasonable for the actors to get 2% of the streaming revenue, and no agreement yet on the use of AI.
Which I will say this much. Knowing that was in the writers thing for the longest time knowing that was in the actors thing compared to what the writers wanted for the longest time is what's going to keep this thing being hung up because the actors right now aren't budging from that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to end up stalling this thing out the most, because they're trying to force the studios to blank on that.
Yeah, and a new bill called the No Fakes Act is being proposed to protect actors, singers, and others from having their voice and likeness become AI generated. And if passed, it would hold people, companies, and platforms liable if they produce or host digital replicas without consent.
Good. Pass it, cowards.
Facts. This is kind of unfortunate because this feels like it would be kind of really cool. An animated Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe movie was pitched, and Warner Brothers said no.
Yeah, it feels bad. Feels bad, man.
That would have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
We also got this going across the movie and video games world. I don't know if you saw this news, Christian, but Fortnite leaks point to the original Chapter 1 map returning to the game, and fans of the game think this was teased back in Avengers Endgame when Thor is playing the OG map.
Jesus Christ.
Because the movie takes place in October 2023.
I don't think they're that smart. I don't think they're
Yeah.
that smart, guys.
Yes
You're
and
giving
no.
them too much credit.
I think Fortnite is one of those games where like they are very like on brand with that kind of stuff, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's like, oh hey, Thor was playing Fortnite in Avengers Endgame. We've had the Avengers stuff come into the game before, so they have a relationship with Marvel in an aspect.
So here's my 2 cents on this. To me, Fortnite is not a game as much as it is like the seminal marketing machine to Zoomer gamers. And so I don't view it as a game as much as a marketing exercise. And I feel like fundamentally when we're looking at this, it's more so that while Fortnite may have recognized the opportunity here, this was not something that was like 4 years in the planning, guys. Come on now.
Right. But it is very
Let's
funny.
make something clear here, all right?
It is quite funny that everything that transpires in Avengers Endgame is actually here because we are in 2023. Moving right along, here is the "Let's Make Dylan Feel Old," even though he's not on this episode, a portion of the podcast.
Hi, Dylan.
That's also making me feel old because this is one of my favorite Disney movies. The Nightmare Before Christmas was released 30 years ago today. We just made Christian feel old for the first time.
That movie's 30? Huh? What?
Still holds up too.
Yeah. That's that see that doesn't make me feel old, it just makes me impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really? It is what, 30 you said?
Yep.
Damn, son.
Yeah, and then just a few weeks later, your boy was born.
Yep, go ahead. Congrats.
Oh no, I was just
Some interesting news for us cinephiles. So there's Guillermo del Toro has been working on a Frankenstein movie, which we love to see. We love to see it, folks. We always just love to see it. But for the longest time, we've known that the cast would include Andrew Garfield, Oscar Isaac, and Mia Goth. Well, we got news on who the next one is. Come on down, Christoph Waltz. That, my friends, that's a good cast. That's a good cast, Kyle.
Also, have you seen? I'm pretty sure it was Guillermo. His Jabba the Hutt movie that got shut down.
Don't get me started ranting on how if you go through the list of unmade Star Wars movies, it's just depressing. Like
Did you see Guillermo's tweet though?
Yes.
He said him and Jabba the Hutt were separated at birth.
I appreciate that Guillermo's okay with making fun of the fact that he is a very large human being. But it's so box for a second. You just look through the list of unmade Marvel stuff, and it's like James Mangold making a spaghetti western, Boba Fett thing. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
that just didn't end up getting made. You have this. You have the Ryan Johnson films. I'm just like, what are we doing, guys? Like, it's just like all they make is fan service. I'm like, guys, please, like, look at this. There's like original ideas, and like, look how good Andor did. And the reason Andor was great was because it was a genre film that was also a Star Wars film. Whereas what Star Wars is doing is we are a Star Wars film that's also a genre film. No, you in today's culture, it needs to function as the inverse to get people wanting to show up. That's the reason why people love well, it's one of the reasons I should say that people love love Logan. Logan is a Wolverine movie, yes. But it's also like an old school western that feels different than than all the other Wolverine movies. It's like that. That's what you need to do, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Jabba the Hutt Guillermo del Toro project though is one that stings because that is
I
something
dream a dream.
that's something that Dylan and I have talked about for years that we would love to see
Jabba Hutt movie?
because of just how it would be like fucking mob crime syndicate rise from the underworld type of shit, and it would just be so good. Ugh, need it. We talked about
Go
Daredevil
talk to
Born
Kathleen
Again.
Kennedy.
Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio speaks on Daredevil Born Again releasing its writers and directors. We are going to bring forward the best series we can. Every cool project I've been involved with has evolved constantly during pre-production, production, and post. It's simply a bunch of creatives doing their best to get it right. I wouldn't have it any other way. Frankly, I'd be worried if we were settling for less.
Well said, Vincent.
I don't know if it was also just the premise of the way they were making the project beforehand or if what people were referencing was from the Daredevil Born Again comic. But apparently, like, you know, and we've talked about this too, like, Spider-Man's a big part of Daredevil Born Again. So who knows if we get Spider-Man appearances or not. But apparently from all of this too, none of the cast is being affected. Like, all the people who are cast for Daredevil Born Again are remaining for the project. So nothing there is changing. So we're still getting the Punisher as well, which is great.
Did you see the Napoleon news?
No.
Do you know what Napoleon is?
Yes.
Okay. So the theatrical version's going to get put out, but Ridley Scott's working on a 4-hour director's cut for Apple TV. Yes, okay. Kyle, you heard it right. 4-hour director cut.
Interesting. Okay.
Ridley.
This is very Dylan. I can't wait to send him this because it is his king. This comes from Empire Magazine. While filming The Killer, Michael Fassbender didn't blink a single time on camera.
So he did the Hannibal Lecter thing.
Mikey Faz.
Mikey.
This is very fun just from a video game pop culture crossover and hits right in our childhood, especially mine. Activision Blizzard boss says the reemergence of Guitar Hero is coming.
Yeah.
The ultimate party game for millennials. This also comes from the Hollywood Reporter, more Daredevil stuff. It will have 2 seasons.
Woo!
Marvel plans to keep some scenes and episodes that were already shot, though other serialized elements will be injected into the project. We got our first trailer for the Iron Claw.
So excited. So unreasonably excited. Jeremy Allen White, Kyle, I'll say it again. The bear. When are we doing the bear? The bear. So yep, that's exciting. We got a date and a teaser for the final season of The Crown, I think it is. Or no. No, I don't think it's the last, but it'll be one of the final seasons of The Crown. So that's notable. The first trailer for Inside Out 2 reportedly releases next month. I don't need that film to exist. Thank you very much. Adam Driver may be playing the Robert De Niro role in the prequel to the movie Heat. We got a second trailer for the Color Purple. Yellow Jackets star Sophie Thatcher is being eyed for a role in Scream 7. Yes, please. They're still working on the Ocean's 11 prequel, which is a film I both don't think should exist, and also I'm 100% here for because it's Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. So I have to physically be on board with it. Oh Christ! I just saw this one. Dan Harmon says he once met with Zack Snyder about a Rick and Morty movie. No.
Hubba lubba dub.
Nope.
Nope. Do not get swifty with that. Nope.
No. And this is a Dan Harmon quote. He was just like, quote, "Is there any way I can help make that movie started? Can help get that movie started by using my Snyderness." Nope. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
I'm twitching.
Stay away.
Ugh, that's no thanks. This is fun, and I'm glad, and it was kind of a known thing, but now it's even funnier because I'll talk about why it's funnier. None of the Justice League stars will return to reprise their roles in James Gunn's DCU. Thank heavens. That comes from Variety. And now it's very funny, Christian, that the final together scene that this Justice League will have is in the finale of Peacemaker, where Peacemaker is saying, "You're already late, you shitheads."
Oh, I love Peacemaker.
Jason Momoa may return, just not as Aquaman. He's obviously...
Lobo's the rumor, right?
Yeah. He's been in talks to play Lobo, either in Superman Legacy or in a standalone film, and that's been an ongoing thing for months now.
Do it.
To make people feel old once again, Kill Bill Volume 1 was released 20 years ago this week.
And in classic Quentin Tarantino fashion, it don't feel that old.
Nope. Fun fact, that is DJ's favorite movie.
Sorry for being stuck in Alaska, DJ. You did this to yourself. Yeah, maybe you didn't, but you did this to yourself.
At Lucasfilm Singapore, a Grogu statue has replaced Yoda.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. Just add them. Don't replace. Did you see this story about Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro?
Yeah. Did you see the Scorsese TikTok from last week or a week and a half ago?
I feel like I did, but I can't remember.
So it's Martin Scorsese's granddaughter has a TikTok, and she's basically asking him, does he know, like slept on and stuff. and he actually does surprisingly well. He does very surprisingly well, which I was like, yeah, Marty.
Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse will have some Parent Trap elements. In that film,
God.
identical twins who were separated at birth discover each other when they switch places, obviously. That comes from Empire Magazine.
Why? That is my 2 cents. Why?
Is it fair that we should add Will Ferrell being a DJ at his son's frat party at USC into his cinematic masterpieces? That video is absolutely incredible.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Looking here. This is interesting, just from a, obviously we get crossover with a lot of like Marvel and video game stuff. Twitter streaming is going to be added to Xbox and PS5.
Oh, God. And me. I don't know people streaming on Twitter. In the news of the week that most people won't care about, but I am here as one of the last standing bastions. Well, I'm one of the few people I know in the last standing bastions of this. Best Buy plans to stop selling physical media such as 4Ks and Blu-rays and DVDs possibly as soon as the end of Q1 2024. No! 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 Best Buy, you are losing the plot of why people like to come to your stores. For part of the reason it is because you're some of the last people who actually has a decently sized collection of physical media, and not just the shitty collection at Target or at Walmart, and they don't want to have to go into Barnes and Noble. And so instead of just, I don't know, making it online only, which I'd be fine with, you're going to stop and you're going to make people instead, go to give Amazon more money, give Target and Walmart more money for their overpriced DVDs. Like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here?
Matt Shackman says they're aiming to start filming Fantastic Four in spring of 2024. The film
Best of luck, buddy. Best of luck.
The film is, quote, going to be unlike anything you've seen before, and there will be a cast announcement after the actor strike is over. Quote, we are doing things very differently from a story standpoint, from an approach to the filmmaking standpoint that really fits the material. I think it's going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before, and certainly unlike anything at Marvel you've ever seen before.
Famous last words.
Yeah, we shall see. This is an interesting quote from Spike Lee. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, no. Kyle, we are not getting into this. We are not unpacking a piece of Spike Lee opinion, which runs against the point of that movie called Oppenheimer. So we are not going to touch on that, all right? I would much rather talk about our genre movie king, John Carpenter, who, for those people who have lived under a rock, directed such great movies as the original Halloween film, The Thing, The Mist, Christine, They Live. He was doing a interview where he was asked about Barbie, and you can find this video online, which I think I quote tweeted it, Kyle. So if you want to dig it up, but he praises Barbie a lot, and he's just like, I don't claim to understand it at all, but I appreciate a thing like it exists and it makes all that money. I'm like, yes, my king. Yes, that. It doesn't matter if you 100% understand or get the point of Barbie. What matters is that you are happy for it making all that money because that actually means something.
We got BD droids roaming around Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland.
I saw that. They're taking over, Kyle. They're taking over.
The robots are taking over. We gotta get rid of the robots, bro. And I'm sure you're thrilled about this one, as Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon is currently at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 88 reviews.
Yeah.
That's all I've got. Do you have anything else on your list?
What's this? We're getting a Diary of a Wimpy Kid Christmas Cabin Fever movie on DisneyPlus. Why? Did you see the second trailer for Wonka?
Nope.
Wonka is going to be such an interesting movie because do I fundamentally think it's going to be good? I don't know. Does it have Chalamet? Yes. Does it have Hugh Grant being an Oompa Loompa? Yes. Am I 100% here for that? Am I 100% here to watch Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa? Yes. Is this a musical? Yes. This could be an abject disaster. Hard to know. It's made by the guy who made the Paddington movies, which are massively beloved. But instead here, he's tackling a prequel to the Gene Wilder films. Hugh Grant in these trailers, his Oompa Loompa character, I need it. I need more of it. I want it all the time. I still am like, I'm not 100% sold on this movie, but I'm 100% going to see this movie.
Yeah. That's all we got for you, I believe, for this episode.
One other thing, because I don't know if this happened before or after our last pod. Beyonce is now doing a concert movie for her Renaissance tour. That's releasing on December 1st.
Okay.
And Kyle, I feel the same way as you. I just feel like I owe it to bring it up because we're about to enter the Swiftie weekend in which I'm working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and I want to end myself. So yes.
Yeah, I don't get the... Like, that feels like it should be just a straight to streaming.
It's about the money.
Yeah. Weird.
Shrug.
Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and at StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. Helps more people find the podcast as a whole. Share with your people. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every single week. Live streams, original video content, shorts, clips, you name it. It's there. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And go to phiapparel.co. Get your merch. Use code Underground for 10% off any and all merch orders. This has been another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, KB, we will catch you guys next week for the mid-season episode of Loki Season 2.
More time
Until
slipping.
then, we're going to go time slip, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.